How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over some news that broke the past week regarding UFC 320 and UFC 321. Of course, the main events of both respective pay-per-views were announced by Dana White on Thursday, I believe, so I know I'm a little bit late to the show. I know I usually am. But I thought I would give my thoughts on, because I'm UFC Thoughts, I thought I'd give my input on the main events, the fights that have been announced for 320 and 321, and also build a main card for the pay-per-view, something that would be suitable to pay $80 for, some light, you know what I mean? So, and for these pay-per-views, most of these fights are already official, even though we're, months away, but that is besides the point. UFC 320 main event already been announced is Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2. In my video where I built 320, I thought this was going to be Gane versus Aspinall, but instead it was Ankalaev Pereira 2 that would take this place. I think we all knew this is the next title fight in the light heavyweight division, even though I feel like most of us kind of know how it ends. I am a humongous Alex Pereira fan, but I think that I, like many others, understand that after watching the first fight, I think that the only person... I think Ankalaev can actually improve more than Alex can in this matchup. And my thing with that is Alex Pereira did fight a good fight. He fought probably the best he could in that fight after round 2 especially. And my big issue with this matchup for Alex is if Alex is more aggressive this time around, I have a bad feeling he is just going to get caught eventually like he did in round 2. But the thing is, if he's on the back foot again, I feel like we're going to see much of the same fight. Leg kicking a lot from Alex, a lot of body attack, not a lot of straight hands coming from Alex Pereira, a lot of trying to kick out the leg from Magomed Ankalaev. But I think Magomed actually can improve his grappling offense in this fight over Alex Pereira. I think he can improve the setups for his takedowns, and actually, if you look at round 4, the amount of clinch time he had, I feel like if he gets that earlier and uses that more, he can actually wear on Alex even more this time around. I would love to see Alex Pereira win this fight, but I really find it difficult. I will say I do find it very difficult to pick him in this matchup, in the rematch. Even though I would love to. I love Alex Pereira. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's probably top 5, pound for pound, one of my favorite fighters of all time. But I do understand that he is old as shit now. He hasn't fought in a while. And usually the thing that really helps a guy like Alex Pereira is the activity. Because all these training camps are kind of meshed together, and he was on fire for a while, and now we haven't heard about him in, since March. 4 months we've gone without hearing basically a chirp from Alex Pereira. We've seen some dancing videos here and there and his sister fighting, but we haven't really heard anything from the man himself. So Magomed, I feel like his boxing is too good for Alex Pereira. I think he's overall a bit of a better MMA boxer than Alex Pereira. I don't think it's that hard to agree to that. Maybe some contrarians would believe. Obviously, Pereira is a better kickboxer. I think that's easy to say. But actual just hands, Ankalaev does have disgusting boxing. So, and he's fast. He's one of the only dudes in the division outside of Khalil Roundtree that can match the speed for Alex Pereira, if not have more speed than him. So, sadly, I think we're going to see a repeat in Vegas for this matchup. I would love to see Alex Pereira slump Magomed out cold, get the belt back. But I do think that, or maybe it's a reverse Adesanya. Maybe the first fight goes Ankalaev, second fight Pereira, and then they never give Magomed the chance ever again. Hopefully. No, I'm kidding, but I think it'll be a fun fight. I think it'll be more entertaining this time around. I think that we're going to see a finish this time around. Either way, either Alex's improved aggressiveness pays off and he's able to actually find a shot, or he himself gets KO'd, which honestly I could see either happening, but I see more him getting clipped. And Pereira does have a suspect chin. I think we can all agree on that. But we move to the co-main event that was also announced. The co-main and featured fight were also announced with the main event. The co-main event being Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. This was the co-main event that I had predicted they would do for UFC 320, and I think that everyone kind of agrees on what's going to happen in this fight. It is interesting because this is the only top 5 contender outside of Song Yadong that we haven't seen fight Merab Dvalishvili, but I think we all understand what's most likely going to happen is what happens to essentially everybody. Everyone defends the takedowns early, everyone looks somewhat decent early, but they're going to be on the back foot for a long period of time, and Corey Sandhagen doesn't really have that it factor about him anymore that would make me feel inclined to pick him in this matchup. The only reason why why the odds on those two fights were close is because Sean O'Malley really does have that one-shot pick-em power. With his hands, at least. He's got really good hand power. He's got really good punching power. Corey doesn't really have that. He used to be super dynamic and super unpredictable. He would throw a spinning wheel kick out of nowhere, throw a flying knee out of nowhere when someone was advancing. You know what I mean? You look at his debut at featherweight, his striking was fucking biblical in that matchup. Ever since the Gane fight, maybe the Song Yadong fight was the last fight that I really saw Corey Sandhagen have that insane fight. He had some of it back in the Davison-Figueiredo matchup, but I don't even really point to that because a lot of that was him low kicking and having good ground and pound. But I feel like Corey Sandhagen's always had decent ground and pound, even from his early career. I mean, you look at the fight where he almost got armbarred in the first round, and then he's just pounding this pause. Holy shit! Someone commented that where he was cracking the shit out of Ian Gary. I forget sometimes to say pause, man. That's my bit. But Corey, he's got really good ground. He's always had good ground and pound. And that's a lot of what the Davison fight was low kicking on the feet and then ground and pound. And then Davison just rolled or moved up and then destroyed his knee. So I really think this matchup is going to look a lot like what Merab's previous fights have looked like. Corey doing some solid work early, trying to find the range, and Merab's going to be in his face the entire fight, either way out or way in, and Corey's not going to be able to find those shots. Unless he's able to land a flying knee, I don't really see Corey Sandhagen winning this fight. Now, it is somewhat interesting because Corey does, in my opinion, have better scrambling abilities and jiu-jitsu than a Sean O'Malley. I think a lot of people can attest to that just based off the eye test from what we've seen from Corey Sandhagen in his career. He does just have better scrambling ability. You look at the Umar fight, he was Granby rolling basically out of everything. And Sean O'Malley, even though he does have a lot of jiu-jitsu prowess, we've seen that in quite a bit of his fights, he's weak. And I think Corey Sandhagen also is kind of weak compared to Merab. And also, he does slow down. That is something Corey does. He does slow down, and his output has slowed down a lot. He's kind of Trevor Whitman has kind of ruined him, in my opinion. He did what he did with a lot of fighters where he makes them super patient and not have that X factor that got them to the dance in the first place. Kind of what happened to Gaethje, where Gaethje was the patience really paid off in like a Poirier fight. But then after that, he's kind of getting waxed and having competitive fights with Fiziev and shit like that. But I don't know. I feel like Corey Sandhagen is like a prime example of someone that has lost a lot of that. He talks a lot about, kill or be killed type shit. I don't really see it from him anymore. You look at a Rob Font fight, I understand tricep tear, this, that, and the other. Even like a Song Yadong fight, outside of the elbow, he had some solid combinations. He was getting kind of worked in those first 2 rounds by Song Yadong. I think Merab's going to outpace him, out-cardio him, push him to his limit, and then eventually find the takedowns. And Corey Sandhagen's going to be trying to Granby roll. I just think that I think these guys are too weak for Merab. I think he's insanely strong for the weight class. I think he's really dense. And also, I think the striking is going to surprise Corey Sandhagen if he's back against the fence. We saw Sean O'Malley in the rematch. Sean was getting tagged on the feet by Merab. He was getting clocked with some shit, and then that led into takedowns. And Corey Sandhagen is a very applicable back foot fighter. He doesn't mind being on the back foot. He actually will give up some space. especially if you press him down. You look at the Jan fight, he did that a lot. You know what I mean? And that's another thing is, like, I honestly think Merab does more damage. Shocking enough, I think he does more damage than Corey Sandhagen does. I just think so. And it's not like Merab's going to be pulling guard. If he fails a takedown, he's going to stand back up. You know what I mean? He's not going to pull like Davison did. So I think this is a bad matchup. I think it's the matchup that makes the most sense. I just think that it's sad that it's like at this point in Merab's career, it's like, well, who are you going to feed to him? I'm hungry. Feed me another contender. After this, it's going to be Jan again, which is going to be yet another demolition job. So let's move to the featured fight that got announced. Yuri Prochazka, Khalil Roundtree Jr. Very interesting matchup. Because following the fight with Jamal Hill, I honestly don't mind a Khalil Roundtree pick here. Even though I personally think that Yuri Prochazka this is his fight to lose against a guy like Khalil Roundtree. Khalil does have a lot of skills that really pay off against a guy like Yuri. Yuri, a guy who has his hands really low, he doesn't know how to check low kicks at all, and Khalil's low kicks looked prime and on point against a guy like Jamal Hill, who does have that similar issue, which is just like not the best of leg kick defense. But like we've seen a guy who has brutal low kicks in Alexander Rakic, who we'll talk about at 321, who brutalized the lead leg of Yuri Prochazka, and then just nothing paid off for it. You know what I mean? I feel like Yuri can really walk through a guy like Khalil Roundtree. Khalil's hand power, I feel, is a little overrated. I'll be honest with you. I feel like a lot of the knockdowns in the Jamal Hill fight were mostly based off his leg damage. I think they were mostly based off of that. I think Yuri looked massively improved in the Jamal Hill fight, and maybe that's because Jamal Hill is a lower level of opponent, maybe you could say, than a Rakic, than a Pereira, than, a Glover Teixeira, even maybe, against a guy like Yuri. I think Yuri's actually kind of becoming a better fighter. And so is Khalil, to be fair. I think it's a very interesting matchup. Something I'm going to have to watch a lot of tape on, I'll be honest with you, because I genuinely don't know who I'm going to pick in this fight. My early lean is towards a Yuri Prochazka, but I actually do understand a Khalil Roundtree pick in this fight because he does have a lot of the essentials needed in a matchup against Yuri Prochazka. He's kind of like a blueprint, but he is smaller. He is somewhat chinny. His best win is Jamal Hill, who Yuri also has, and he actually finished Jamal Hill, albeit in a 3-round fight, and he did lose a round in that fight, but Yuri dropped him, 3 times was the number? And that's what Khalil Roundtree essentially did, but he did it with actual fucking hands. You know what I mean? I know Khalil did, but like I said, I think a lot of the knockdowns in the Khalil Roundtree Jamal Hill fight were due to leg damage. So that'll be an interesting one in the build-up, and also just like trying to break down the style. I don't know. I'll have to see. We move to the next fight. I believe this is one that I made. I actually don't remember the other 2 fights that are on this main card. Gamrot Fiziev 2. I think this is a matchup that you could make. They're on similar schedules. Gamrot just fought in May 31st, when I actually injured my knee. Basically main evented that card. Rafael Fiziev coming off the Gaethje loss. I think this fight makes a lot of sense. Very unfinished business. The first fight was actually really good and really competitive up to that point. Gamrot was doing better on the feet, and Fiziev was doing better in the grappling. And then Fiziev, of course, shredded his ACL. But I think this matchup does make sense a lot rankings-wise. Fiziev's coming off the Ignacio Bahamondes. I actually forgot that fight even. That was the same as the Khalil Roundtree one. Didn't take a lot of damage in that fight. He got hit somewhat by Ignacio Bahamondes. Didn't take any crazy visible damage though. They're on similar schedule. That was June 21st, May 31st. This is going to be October 4th. You got a guy like Gamrot who took basically no damage against Ludovit Klein, and a guy like Fiziev who took basically no damage in their fight. They're on similar schedules. They've fought before. They've signed to fight each other. Rankings-wise, Gamrot's 7. Fiziev is, 9 or 10-ish? And also, it should be a fun fight. I thought the first fight was actually a really good fight until the injury. So, yeah, it's either this or Gamrot versus Beneil Dariush too, I think. I don't know. Gamrot's in a weird position because, like, I don't think anyone really cares about him fighting up in the division. But if he does beat Fiziev, I think you do just have to give him a higher ranked opponent. I don't know. I think that this fight does make a lot of sense. It kind of screams T-Mobile Arena fight. Like, this is like, Gamrot is like a shoe-in for, if he's on a pay-per-view, it's usually in the T-Mobile, 285. He did fight in Miami, to be fair, and Abu Dhabi, but I feel like we mostly see Gamrot in Vegas-based pay-per-views and shit like that. Fiziev, he's just a slugger. Also, just some name value. Gamrot, friends with Poirier, highly ranked, has been in big fights. Dan Hooker, that fight was great. Fiziev is just highly known because he looks like a Viking. So, also they fought, like I said, rematch, should be a good fight. Starting off the main card for a card like, starting off the main card of a pay-per-view, I have Josh Emmett, Patricio Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull took not a lot of damage, had a cut on the side of his head from the Dan Ige fight. I feel like Pitbull is a pretty active guy. He fought in April and then he fought in July. 4-month, not even 4-month, 3-month turnaround. You know what I mean? And he lost the Yair Rodriguez fight pretty dominantly. Didn't really have a lot of success. Josh Emmett fought in April. He needs to fight down. They're both short, stocky guys that hit hard. I think it makes a lot of sense. It'd be a good fight to open up the main card of a pay-per-view. Josh Emmett is either Fight Night main event or on a pay-per-view main card. So I think this does make a lot of sense. I think it actually would be a good scrap because Josh Emmett does have wrestling defense. He does have grappling defense. He's got good takedown defense. So it's going to most likely be a just stand-up fight. And maybe this is going to be a fight where Pitbull throws more. Maybe it's going to be a staring contest. But I think that we will see someone probably go unconscious in this one. Hopefully Pitbull. Let's be honest. Who cares about Pitbull that much? Unless you're like, holy shit, man, I'm going to see Patricio Pitbull do good in the UFC even though he's 39. Fuck you. He sucks. He's such a boring one. Yeah, get off the fucking screen. I think this is a good pay-per-view main card, though. You got rankings everywhere. Everyone on this card is ranked. These 3 fights are already official. This is probably one of the best top 3 fight main card pay-per-views of the year. Probably. Like, let's be honest, this is probably the best 3 lineup that we've seen of the year. It's either this or 311. Like, 311 was pretty fucking sick, too. Or maybe 317, I guess, was pretty cool as well. But yeah, should be a good one. UFC 321 was announced. UFC Abu Dhabi, October 25th. I was yapping a lot on most of those fights. Main event, I'm not going to talk much about this one. Aspinall versus Gane. Aspinall is going to beat Cyril Gane very easily, in my opinion. I don't really think it's going to be all that competitive. You look at some cross-referencing, use some MMA math, you look at performances against Volkov from both of them. Aspinall teed up Volkov on the feet, took him down twice, and finished him with a straight arm lock. Gane goes to a controversial robbery decision with him that wasn't, he almost blatantly lost. You know what I mean? That was Gane's most recent performance. That was Aspinall 3 years ago. You know what I mean? It's not. Was that 3 or was that 3 or 2? That was 2022, right? When he fought Volkov? I think so. But I genuinely just, on the feet, Gane is a really good striker against fat people. I think we have to start looking at this. Gane, when he fights a Derek Lewis, who just is a big slugger, who just has one really big old heavy overhands, that's about it. Of course, a guy like Gane is going to style on him. You look at him even then he brought Derek Lewis to a 3rd round. Tai Tuivasa, 3rd round, got dropped. Sergey Spivak, late 2nd round. Sergey Spivak is not good on the feet. He isn't. He's improved, but he's not Aspinall level. No fucking way. And Aspinall's quick. He's a fast, very powerful guy. And I just feel like this is a terrible matchup for Gane. Looking at recent performances, Gane has been ducking the highest level of competition. He gets the Volkov fight, a guy like, I already beat this guy, I'm going to beat him again. And then they fight, and he's like, oh shit. He leaves the octagon early and then gets a decision. I genuinely just believe this is going to be a one-sided finish in the first round. Maybe Gane lands some stuff early. Obviously, Gane can find a finish. It's heavyweight. Anything can fucking happen. But I genuinely believe Aspinall has everything you need to beat Gane. He's got the grappling. He's got the speed. He's got the power. He has everything. Everything in heavyweight that you need. And Gane is incomplete. Gane is an incomplete fighter at the end of the day. His grappling defense is not that good. It just isn't. He gets bowled over by anybody that has a good takedown attempt on him. That is just a fact. That is a fact. So, Aspinall, I think very clearly will beat Ciryl Gane. Co-main event I have made for this fight. Now, this is not official. They're either going to do another title fight, most likely a WMMA one, or they're going to do this. They're going to do a lightweight 5-round co-main event. Now, I have Sarukian and Pimblett on here. I know on 320 I had Gaethje Pimblett. I threw this up there because I think, like, location-based wise, I think Sarukian does make a bit more sense in Abu Dhabi. I think that it's either Sarukian Pimblett or Gaethje Pimblett. At the end of the day, the lightweight division needs to see movement in the top 5. I don't want to see Holloway get an immediate I don't want to see him get a fight with Ilia Topuria. It's going to end with him getting brutally KO'd. Do Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira early next year or late this year, December pay-per-view, something like that. Do something like that. In the top of the division, Paddy Pimblett has a lot of beef with Ilia Topuria. Now, does he deserve a fight with Sarukian and Gaethje? Not really, if you truly look in deep dive into his resume. He should honestly, like, arguably he should be fighting, like, fucking Gamrot next. But the name value, the popularity, the beef with Ilia, he's going to get shoot in for a number 1 contender fight. And Arman and Justin need to stop being pussies. They need to fight somebody. Arman, I understand that you deserve a title shot. You do, but the UFC's not going to give it to you. You need to realize that. Fight Paddy or fight Gaethje. Fuck it. Fight just anybody. Fight Dan Hooker for all that matter. I don't give a fuck. Fight somebody. Jesus Christ. But at the end of the day, I've been predicting and making fights for Arman Sarukian back in fucking April when 318 318 got fucking announced. When fucking Poirier Holloway 3 got fucking announced. I made Sarukian Hooker as the co-main event of that. But since then, of course, Pimblett beat Michael Chandler, obviously. And since Ilia beat Charles, you need a number 1 contender. I don't want to see Pimblett just get a title shot, because then it's going to diminish the legacy of Ilia Topuria, the streak that we have going. If Pimblett beats Sarukian, or if Sarukian beats Pimblett, that's a true solidified number 1 contender. Or if Pimblett beats Gaethje, or if Sarukian beats Gaethje, or Gaethje beats Sarukian, or any mix of that, that is a true number 1 contender. At the end of the day, that is what that is. It is a number 1 contender that we need to get for Ilia Topuria to fucking fight. All right? Dan Hooker, fight whoever doesn't get match made out of these guys. All right? Out of Sarukian, Pimblett, Gaethje, Dan Hooker fights the guy, the loose link, which I hope is Gaethje, because I really think Gaethje Hooker is a fight that we do need to see at the end of the day, because I think that's a murderer's row, right? Not murderer's row. That's a fucking car crash of a fight with someone getting brutally knocked out. Okay? Sarukian, Pimblett, it needs to be made. One of those fucking fights just needs to be made. I need to see Ilia Topuria fight early next year, because I don't think we're going to see him for the rest of the year, honestly. I don't think that we're going to get a random fight with him and Pimblett. If we do, fuck it, I guess. But I do believe that we should get a true solidified number 1 contender before we just give Pimblett a title shot, or we give Gaethje a title shot. The most deserving guy is Arman, but the UFC is so dead set on him not getting one that he just needs to win one more, all right? It makes a lot of sense. Sarukian, Pimblett, also them on a poster with Aspinall Gane would do fucking numbers. Like, let's be honest, it would look sick. We move. to the featured fight. This is an already official fight. Volkov-Almeida, #1 contender fight for Aspinall Gane. It just does make sense. Volkov-Almeida has been rumored to happen since 316 in June, on June 7th. But it just never happened, and then they just pushed it back and back and back. Almeida's been tweeting about this fight for a while. Makes a lot of sense. Volkov-Almeida, it's either going to be Volkov is able to stuff the takedowns and finish Almeida on the feet, or Almeida is able to take down Volkov and finish him on the ground. It's not really much to it. It's gonna end up a one-sided fight either way. It's either just gonna be Volkov finishes him on the feet, or Almeida finds a finish on the ground. That's really all this matchup is. I lean towards Almeida. I do, even though I love Volkov. I feel like I've said I love Volkov, but I've never picked him. I truly mean it. Volkov is my favorite heavyweight on the roster. I fucking love him to death. It's just they're giving him really fucking hard fights, man. It sucks that his entire career on this channel. I know I did pick him against Tai Tuivasa on my second ever fight night picks, but yeah, Volkov is really good. He's really improved, but I don't know. I think Almeida's on steroids. That's about it. The next fight is already official. They didn't throw it on the main card graphic on Saturday for some reason. Rakic-Murzakanov, which, by the way, I called out they were going to make this fight for my 320 not picks and breakdown, but card builder, by the way. Just saying, badass matchup. If you want to get a more in-depth breakdown, you can go watch that fight. Not that fight, that video. This is a matchup that doesn't make sense. Rakic 3-fight losing streak. Murzakanov streaking undefeated contender. I think Murzakanov can probably win. It just really depends. Like, Rakic is the build that you need to beat Murzakanov. He's just kind of really chinny. So, I don't know. It really depends on the form that Rakic's in. If he fights like how he did against Magomed Ankalaev, he's going to get chinned. If he fights like how he did against Yuri, honestly, he could starch Murzakanov out cold. So, I don't know. To start the main card of UFC 321, a fight that I made this weekend, we had Muslim Salikov brutally knock out Carlos Leal. There's another man at welterweight that fights very often. Muslim didn't take any damage. He's Russian. It's Abu Dhabi. And there are 3 things certain in life: death, taxes, and Kevin Holland being on a random pay-per-view for no fucking reason. Kevin Holland's going to be fighting Muslim Salikov in Abu Dhabi. I think it does make a lot of sense. Location-wise, Salikov, Russian, Kevin Holland, big name, also winnable for both. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, after seeing fucking Daniel Rodriguez almost knock the fuck out of Kevin Holland, Salikov might be the guy to like, fully do it. I don't know. It'll be an interesting matchup, though, because I think this would be a striker's affair. So, yeah, UFC 321, solid pay-per-view. Custom made, of course, by myself. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What would you guys like to see on these cards 320? What would you like to see take those other 2 main card slots? What would you like to see make up the UFC 321 pay-per-view? This weekend, we have UFC Vegas 108. Main event is now Tatsuro Taira versus Hyun Sung Park. They've ran out of... I'm going to be honest with you. This is at the end of the video, so not a lot of people are going to see this. Probably like 2. These next 2 cards are genuinely so shit. Name value-wise, Vegas 109 is maybe the worst fight night card I've ever seen in my life. Hands down. 10 fights, it is so shit. It is so fucking bad. I'm dreading having to watch tape for it. I might not even know. I'll make a picks and breakdown for it. I'm the UFC's dirty little content creator. But, yeah. If you liked the video, give it a like. You already know. I will see you guys in those picks and breakdowns either tomorrow or Thursday. Peace.